we will try to print a mini statement. If you go to any ATM to print mini statement, are you going to give any input or will you stand calmly by asking mini statement? You will give some input, whether it might be ATM number or account. This input value is called parameter. From outside, you will give input. You will give only one value as input. Based on that value, it will print the remaining statement. Here, in our database, the input value is going to be account ID. Our parameter is going to be account ID. In last session, we opened a mini statement. We checked. Mini statement is printed in such a format. First, they print date and time. After date and time, they print account ID. After account ID, they print transaction ID. We are not taking transaction ID for mini statement. If you are adding it as a transaction, we can take transaction ID. Account ID, after that name, account holder name. After that, last 6 months transactions. At last, current balance. Current balance or available balance. This is the thing which they are printing in the same order. We have to print in the same order. Let us write a stored procedure to print a mini statement. Select your database. After that, right click on stored procedure and click on create stored procedure. Mini statement. In this stored procedure, I am taking account ID as parameter or account ID as input. I am writing parameter underscore account ID. Integer. This account ID value is input. We have to give account ID as input. After that, what is the first thing they print in mini statement? What is the first thing they print in mini statement? Date and time. What is the function that we have to print current date and time? Whenever he is taking mini statement, it should print that particular date and time. We have a function called now_of, which is used to print current date and time. Just write select now_of as current date and time. Current date time. Use semicolon. First step got completed. We are printing current date and time. After current date and time, what is the thing that they are printing? Account ID. We are taking account ID itself as input. We are taking up, the customer is giving his account ID as input. He is giving his account ID as parameter. I have to print same account ID, right? I have to print his account ID only. He is giving the same value as input. I will print the same value. Select parameter underscore account ID. Parameter underscore account. It will print that value which is present in the parameter. Whatever you give, whatever the account ID you gave in the input, the same value will be printed here. After that, what is the next thing that they printed? Name of the account folder. How to print the name? In which table we have a column called name? Account details. How to print only the name? Select name from account details. Where account ID is equal to parameter underscore account ID. Where account ID is equal to parameter underscore account ID. Select name from account details, where account ID equal to parameter underscore account ID. Some person gave his account ID in parameter. Print his name, where account ID is equal to parameter underscore account ID. If you give parameter as 2, it will print the name of the person whose account ID is equal to 2. If you give parameter as 5, it will print the account name of the person whose account ID is 5. And with whatever the value you pass in parameter, the same value will be reflected in where condition. After name, what is the thing that they printed? Last 6 months transactions. Select star from transaction details. Where account ID equal to parameter underscore account ID. We have to give multiple conditions here. I am taking the transactions of that specified person, and I am taking only last 6 months transaction. To check whether the transactions occurred in last 6 months or not, we have a function called timestamp diff. Timestamp diff. We have a function called timestamp diff. On timestamp diff, what is the purpose of using this function timestamp diff means? Timestamp diff. Is nothing but of time difference. You can spell it as time difference. We can choose whether we want to print time difference in months, years, or days. We can choose our required format. I want to calculate time difference in months because I want to print only last 6 months transaction. I want to choose in month. First, we want to write our format. If you want to choose the difference in days, you can write day. If you want to choose difference in years, you can write year. Whatever the format you want, you can choose. This month will print the time gap between start date and end date in months. Here you have to give start date. Start date. And you have to give end date. End date. In our scenario, we want to find the last 6 months transaction. In transaction details, do we have any column which is storing time? In transaction details table, do we have any column which is storing time? We have transaction time is there, right? By using the transaction time, we have to check whether it occurred before last 6 months, before 6 months, or within the 6 months. We have to check it. We have to find only when if it is within the 6 months. If it is occurred before 6 months, we need not to print it. Timestamp if in months from start date is transaction date. Transaction data transaction time. That column name we have to do. It will take the time which is present in that particular column. And the end date is current date. From today's date to transaction date, if time gap is less than 6 months, I want to print it. Otherwise, I don't want to print it. Should be less than 6. You have to write this at the end. Timestamp if in months from transaction time to current date should be less than 6. Timestamp if in month from transaction time to current date should be less than 6. If you want, you can take less than equal to 6 also. This should be less than 6. By using this particular query, we can print last 6 months transaction. At the end, we want to print current balance. What is the query to print only the current balance? What is the query to print current balance? Query to print current balance. Current balance is in account details table, right? Just we want a query to print the current balance. How do we print name? Similarly, like name, we have to print current balance. In the same query, instead of name which we give, if we give current balance, it will print the current balance from account details table. Select current balance from account details where account ID is equal to parameter underscore account ID. What? Yeah, it will give whatever the current balance which is present in account details table, it will print the same current balance. If we want to change current balance dynamically whenever transaction occurs, we have to go to next topic. After completing next topic, it will change current balance dynamically. After completing this query, just click on apply. What we are doing here, we are storing one complete process, step-by-step process in a single stored procedure. Whereas in view, we can store only single query. Here we are storing complete process. Click on apply. So that click on finish. Expand your stored procedures and click on this mini statement stored procedure. Execute this mini statement stored procedure. It will ask account ID as parameter. Give one account ID and click on execute. It will print multiple result sets. Result 1 current date and time, result 2 parameter underscore account ID, result 3 name, result 4 last 6 months transactions, result 5 current balance. We have to attach all these results one by one to print the mini statement. If you want a vertical result set or if you want result only in single page, you have to click on Alt Enter. You are using Control Enter to execute the query, right? After executing this mini statement, we have to click on Alt Enter. First current date and time, after that account ID, after that name, after that transaction details, transaction details, at the end current balance. We'll print one by one. Whenever we are trying to print it, it will not print these stars and all. Result sets stars and all. Only to see in SQL, it will print this result sets and all. Current date and time, parameter underscore account ID, name, transaction details, at the end current balance. We will get everything. We can print everything in same result.